Signed it, the president ending what he called a ridiculous situation by agreeing to sign a $1.3 trillion omnibus bill. It runs more than 2,200 pages, and the president asked, "You tell me, who can read that quickly?" He promised to never sign another bill like it, but he did sign it, he said, because what it means for defense spending, a big bump. He said that conservatives who don't like the bill have good reason not to, but on balance, because of the defense spending, he had to agree to sign it. There was also a government shutdown, of course, looming at midnight. Niall Stanage is the White House columnist for The Hill. He joins me now by phone. Who are the winners and losers here?
Well, I mean, I think it is clearly a bill that displeases conservatives. The president, as you pointed out in your introduction, made the argument that there was sufficient spending on defense for it to be justifiable for him to sign it. But, I mean, clearly he is not enthusiastic about doing so, presenting this bill much more as a necessary evil than something that he considers a good thing per se.
So he said, Anita Kumar, who also joins us from the White House, correspondent for McClatchy, that he did this because of the defense spending. He had trouble listing anything else he liked about it. So what will this do for the Defense Department?
Right. I mean, it was actually sort of an extraordinary speech because he went back and forth between what he liked and didn't like. And really, the only thing he could talk about was the boost to military spending. He had said that that had gone down under his predecessor, President Obama, and that he was lifting it back up. But of course, he acted as if he felt forced to sign it, both because of the looming shutdown today and also just that because of the military spending, that he wanted to do that and wanted to claim credit for that. But clearly, there was a lot of things he did not like.
He wanted, $25 billion in funding for that border wall that he's been promising since the day he declared his candidacy for the presidency. Zeke Miller, White House reporter for the Associated Press, what does he get for the border wall?
Well, he's getting about $1.6 billion. Just exactly how much of that can be used on new fencing versus replacing what's already in place is something of a matter of interpretation there. Between the DHS and lawmakers on Capitol Hill. But certainly he's also not getting DACA, which is a crisis that he, of course, instigated when he decided to end the program last year. It's obviously held up in litigation right now, but it's a political football the president's has been trying to get off of his plate for quite some time already, and he did not get that and did not succeed in that.
And Zeke, the president ultimately blamed Democrats because though Republicans hold both the Senate and the House, they don't have enough votes in the Senate to override a filibuster a filibuster in the Senate. And so he said, we need to get rid of the filibuster. That is not going to happen. So given that that's not going to happen and that we have these different factions, both in the Republican Party and to a lesser extent in the Democratic Party, what does this omnibus tell us about what legislation Washington can pass right now?
Well, we're obviously in a midterm year right now. This omnibus legislation is essentially the last real serious heavy piece of legislation.
So nothing is the answer.
Yeah, no one's anticipating much of anything getting done between now and November. The bigger question is if Democrats take back either the House or the Senate, what can they, probably most likely the House, what can they then pass, or is it all just frozen until 2020? That seems to almost be, that's a more pessimistic view right now, but also it seems kind of likely looking at Washington these days.
And so, Anita, given that, assuming that also means immigration and DACA and the wall will get nowhere on, what can the president do, and what about this looming deadline for DACA recipients?
Right. I mean, it's really unclear what's going to happen. They've had a couple deals or things that the Democrats and Republicans, or at least some of them, seem to agree on, things that they could move forward with, and then every single time he has stopped it or the White House has stopped it. So it's really unclear. Obviously, he had that March 5th deadline. That's come and gone. And as Zeke mentioned, this is tied up in litigation. It's going to be months now before there's any decision from the courts on what's going to happen. So there's a little bit of breathing room. And when you talk to people on Capitol Hill, they say they don't feel like March was the deadline, that they have time to do this. So it'll have to come back around to them, but it could be quite some time before that happens.
Okay, Anita, Zeke, Niall, thanks so much. We're going to take a quick break. There is so much to get to, and we will as we hit the top of the hour. More news on the spending bill ahead, as well as the latest on this terrorist attack in France. You're streaming CBSN.